The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 17th day of January 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. He's Philip Trott, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Happy Tuesday, Phil. How you doing, brother?
Okay, so you said it's Monday and then you said it's Tuesday.
Oh, I did. I said Monday.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
well, you know,
it feels like Monday. It's good. Yo, you on vacation yesterday?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I had to honor the king.
Sure, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Oh, you all don't honor the king in Bermuda. You just quote him.
No, we post them on Instagram.
Oh, okay. See, yeah. In Bermuda, a lot of quotes and it reminds me yesterday, man, because they celebrate Dr. King's birthday. Yesterday in most places in the U.S., not all places, but it's always interesting to me over the years who quotes him, how they quote him, how
That is the funniest thing to me.
Yeah. I'm like, you can tell who's only heard "I Have a Dream" speak. Yeah.
It's the funniest thing to me.
No, it is. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Dr. Jonathan Makanjuola to discuss the Daily Mail Men's Health Clinic. So a very interesting conversation coming up. The Daily Play is a remember when today, so little guess the year history kind of thing with Phil. I don't expect Phil to get the answer right, so I expect the Sherry Sanchez show today.
Wow.
Don't forget, the show is now available live on our website, thedailyhour.com. You no longer need social media to tune into us live. If you haven't already, please subscribe on our website and follow us on our social media channels. But let's have a discussion this morning because I think today is national. Well, let me pull it up because it was on Burn News.
I found it. Yeah.
What is it, Phil?
National Day of Racial Healing.
National Day of Racial Healing today, apparently. So, very, very interesting. National Day of Racial Healing today, and obviously Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday observed yesterday. Bermuda's a very special place, but I want to jump right into it, and I'm sure a lot of people may have opinions or comments on today's topic or conversation. We got quite a few responses on our Instagram stories yesterday, but the question is very simple. What would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? What would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda, folks? That's the question of the morning. What would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? And we can go through some of the responses that we got on Instagram. Phil, did you want to jump?
No, but you know what I had to struggle with this question, and I know people, when somebody gives an answer, you're going to say, oh, it's progress. It's not perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's what I had to struggle with this question. Where have we made progress? And for me would be in the employment sector.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're seeing more Black people in positions of leadership in the employment sector. It's still not, it's still vastly, we're vastly outnumbered. But compared to where it was, I think there's some progress there.
Well, let's go through Instagram and see what was said on our Instagram page. We had the question, same question that it is this morning, is what would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? One of the answers we got was when the boardrooms reflect the prisons. What does that mean? Well, I take it to mean, well, if you look at many boardrooms, and it takes me back to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm no DEI or DIE, however, whatever it's known as, expert. I'm not one of those people. But I always find it interesting when we think diversity, equity, and inclusion satisfies racial progress. I think it's very interesting when we are comfortable putting Black faces in particular, as we're talking about race, not gender, Black faces in a boardroom. Yet still nothing changes, which takes us to what I mentioned may have been privately with TDH crew is, I hope this is the year that we get away from the look of diversity, equity, and inclusion and into the thought of diversity, equity, and inclusion. What do I mean by that? The token Black note does not serve Black people and Black interests. So what we need is diversity of thought. There's no point appointing a Black person in a position if they don't think like the majority or represent the majority of the people who look like them. What we need is diversity of thought in those rooms, not someone who's going to nut their heads and say, yes, I agree, and make up numbers simply because they're Black. What we need is diversity of thought. So when I look at this response, when the boardrooms reflect the prisons, I'm simply looking and seeing, well, yeah, we need, our prisons are probably 97% Black in Bermuda, if not more, right? Well, what are the boardrooms? Well, they may put 1 or 2 Black people in there, but do they truly represent Black Bermudians? So interesting one there. What are your thoughts on that one, Phil?
I do get what you're saying. I think if it doesn't make sense having Black faces in the boardroom if they're, like you said, if they're not going to represent what the Black community needs. But I do think that the chances of that happening improve if there are more Black faces in there. So, there was an answer on the question on Instagram that said better than what I was trying to say. It was the more Black people in the C-suite areas of employment. I just said employment sector, but specifically in the C-suites.
Well, let's get to that one. Another response was more Black people in the C-suites. Again, the question of the morning, folks, is, we're on the back of another observance of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, where everyone loves to quote or misquote the late Reverend. It's a national day of what's it called? Racial healing. That Curb is celebrating National Day of Racial Healing. So the question of the morning is, what would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? And Phil just mentioned more Black Bermudians in the C-suites were definitely qualified. Someone responded.
That's to your earlier point about the having faces, Black faces, boardroom C-suites is more, if they're not doing what the community wants them to do, then what sense does it make? But I do think that with that happening, especially in Bermuda, like I've heard a lot of stories of people in managerial positions helping out those that are coming up.
Well, I have a completely different spin on this. My spin is, I've seen a lot of companies, in particular, one government, Quango, claim for years that they have their staff's 90% Bermudian or whatever, right? And my question was always, so why is no one asking what positions these Bermudians are in? I think this is a very valid comment, right? about Black Bermudians in C-suite, because it's all good seeing Black Bermudians in jobs and management, but seeing us in C-suite, we can call out, we can name people in C-suite. That's how little there are. Now, that's a problem. When you look at the news or hear the news, almost weekly, there's someone getting a promotion in an exempt company or IB and so on. The only time I see Black Bermudians is when it's a new Black Bermudian, mainly a Black young woman, called to the bar, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But in these IB companies, and again, no offense, but a young Black Bermudian in international business put on Twitter not long ago about diversity, equity, and inclusion. She says in Bermuda, it's only benefited white women. Well, if you look, I don't know this, I'm just repeating what she said, but if you look at these promotions, it's always such and such at re and this and re, whatever, it reflects what she said. So I see what this person's referring to, more Black Bermudians in the C-suites. Let's go to the audience real fast. Question of the morning: what would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? Sean DeShield says, allowing Black employees to enter hotels via the main entrance, as my father, who worked in hotels for over 40 years, had to only use the back entrance when going to work.
No, you got no hotel, no.
Yeah, we don't have any hotels left, right? Interesting, this one, because is this just a hotel thing or is this a business thing? Is this like a restaurant? People that work at restaurants enter through a staff employee door, or do they go through the main door? Is that something of race, or is it just keeping customers and employees separate? Either way, I actually see his point. At the end of the day, we're not living in the age where we need to be separate from the people we're serving anymore. We are I and I, as the Rastas say. We are equal, right? We are I and I. So why should we be separated? Like, oh no, that's for staff only. That's for guests only, or that's for clients or customers only. No, I see your point. Any thoughts on that one, Phil?
I'm just wondering, and I get what he's saying about the separate entrances, but isn't there normally like a staff entrance, like a staff only entrance in some places?
Yeah, it is. I think that's what I'm responding to. I think it's been normal business practice, but I think we're in an age now where I think we can remove that barrier. We can remove that barrier right now and say, you know what? Hold on. We're among the people we serve. We are one of you. You know what I'm saying?
I did see that. One thing I did like to see at Southampton Princess when it was there was it's still there, but you know what I mean.
Boy said when it was there.
It's still there, but I loved seeing the Black people out, like facing everybody out in the front greeting, but it was just as many Black guests so like we were filling all the spaces. We were filling managerial spaces, guest spaces, servant spaces. Like we were filling everywhere, which I think is something that you may not have seen 40 years ago, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I get you. I feel that. What would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? That's your question. Again, we just observed Dr. King's birthday yesterday. He would have been 94, right? Almost
94, really?
Yeah, almost a sort of sherry. But we also have, today is National, again, what is it, Phil? I'm so sorry.
National Day of Racial Healing.
National Day of Racial Healing. You can check out Curb's website for more on that. So what would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? Sherry Vanderpool says, I feel we see progress in Black entrepreneurs. There was a time that not many would step out on their own, but that is not so much the case now. I disagree. I actually think we saw more Black entrepreneurs prior to integration. I believe we've gotten away from entrepreneurship. I mean, the old way was you go and start a company and you build your house, or that. Today, I think we're trying to get back to what we once were.
Mhm.
Right now, I think we live in an age where we are comfortable going to college and coming back and working for other people. But I think it's been reversed. So I think we've seen a lack of progress in entrepreneurship compared to where our grandparents and their parents were.
Do you do
Unless
you
you're comparing it with maybe um, the generation prior.
do you think maybe it's maybe it's safer for black people to be entrepreneurs, because you would have black entrepreneurs back in the day, but then some type of legislation or racist obstacle or something would wipe them out. You know what I mean? And it was overt.
I think racism still exists in business.
Yeah,
I, I
yeah.
I don't think there's any laws protecting it. Let's use a media company. Um, there are media companies that come along black owned. I think Bermuda has quite a few black owned media companies. Due to legacy, they're not going to get the support that legacy companies get, white run or white owned businesses get. So I think it's racism, but it's not legislated, because you can't prove that someone's not working with you because of race. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, they're going to support that legacy. So I don't necessarily I see your point. I see where you're going with it. I feel like racism is so subtle these days to some. I think it's so much more subtle, like it's not so much in your face. And I think under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion, so much more um, gets done, right? Like try being that outspoken black person because you see
Mhm.
something wrong. They will find a way to ostracize you. Like it's hidden, but not so much hidden, if that makes sense.
Would you call the subtlety of the racism today? Would you call that progress or
Oh,
going backwards?
Um, I think it's neither. I think it's just racism done differently, right?
Okay.
I know people compare the American prison system, saying slavery just shifted. I think racism has shifted. I don't think there's been much progress. I think
Okay.
a couple things have happened. Um, there are some black people that think that because in 1998 Bermuda Progressive Labor Party became government, that somehow racism we had made racial progress. No, that was political progress. But I always go back to this. If that was true progress, white people wouldn't have let you have it so easily and still have it today. They're okay. They still own the business. And since 1998 to now, they still own the economy. They still run the economy. So if we seen true racial progress in Bermuda? No, because Brother Charles just said it.
I was just
Racial
gonna tell you,
progress
go read that one.
Bermuda would be when the economic power of black people approaches that of white people. And that's the bottom line. Drop mic. That's the bottom line. Since 1998, you've had political power per se,
Mhm.
but does black Bermuda really have any economic power? I don't think. And let's just let's go back to the Instagram, right? As we go back to the Instagram, because someone touched on it, right? Someone said, the day we have a black Bermudian owned bank and reinsurance company. Think about that.
Mhm.
We always go on about the economy and international business. We're great employees, but who's willing to take the risk?
We have black law firms, but they seem to I seem to be just mostly, I won't say just,
Mhm.
mostly for like defense lawyers, and I don't know how many like real corporate law firms we have
Yeah, we'll have
that
to
are
check that
black.
out. That's a good question. I'd like to know how many corporate firms we have as well, Phil. That's a good one. All right, let's go real back before we to the audience before we bring Maya in. What would you consider as racial progress in Bermuda? Sean DeShield says black ownership of major local companies and buildings in the city has been on the rise over the past 2 decades. Rosalind Famous says it was a general business thing. It happened to my father as well. I think she's talking about the entrance into businesses.
Mhm.
And then Manuela John says we will probably see racial progress in Bermuda when the promoted persons are more of the mindset that you expect of them rather than the representation of the hierarchy. So interesting, because the hierarchy, you always see people who They may look black or be black, I should say. But again, their mindset, well, it's totally different. Totally different. Interesting conversation, folks. It's an interesting conversation. I just want us to keep in mind that progress will look and feel different to us all.
Mm-hmm.
It will look and feel different to us all. For me, you know, there are people out there, especially some people I see on social media, who think that the best way to overcome racism is to ignore it. Stop talking about race, right?
Yeah, that's the one. I can't stand.
Yeah,
It's like
ignorant.
you're pulling the race card. Like,
No, folks, if you
that
go
card's
to a
been
job,
played, man. We're trying to.
if you go to a job today that has other black people at that job, and none of them are in decision-making positions, chances are you work for a racist organization. You go to a job today and you go and you look at their board of directors, and chances are the percentage of people on that board don't reflect the population of people in that jurisdiction. You likely work in a racist organization. Folks, progress, again, may look and feel different to all of us. Our expectations may differ. But in my opinion, racial progress is more than just putting a black person in a position for the sake of a quota. It's a mindset thing. What's your favorite Dr. King quote? Let us know. Let's one more comment before we bring Maya in. Ebony Souza says, when public education improves, in my opinion, give all black kids the same opportunities to learning and being on par with their peers. I disagree. Stop relying on your enemy to educate your children. And that is public education too. Take hold of your own education. Let's bring Maya in before Phil gets in trouble.
Me?
Good morning, good morning. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy.
Morning, Maya.
Greetings, Maya. How you doing?
Let's go ahead and blame me for everything.
I'm doing well.
Oh, that's wonderful. You're smiling this morning. You seem happy. You had a great weekend?
I did have a pretty good weekend. I slept, which was awesome.
Okay.
So.
No, that's good. We spoke about rest. We did speak about rest. We did speak about that. Did you want in on this morning's discussion, or you want to go right to your news break?
I think I'll go right to my news break.
Oh, man, I wanted some juice. Yeah, I wanted some juice. What you got for us today? What's happening? What happened over the weekend? What we missed?
Well, over the weekend, I hope you did not miss it because that was really amazing. But, you know, the buzzing news was going around that Dej Miners clutched the first place title in the elite men's race at Front Street Mile, clocking in a time of 4 minutes, 16 seconds, and 68 milliseconds.
Congratulations.
Well,
I did miss it.
Let me say this. You know, I tweeted that they should rename Front Street after Dej, and he said, "Nah, bruh, appreciate it, Hartman, but maybe a street in my neighborhood." But I'll say this here, right? For those who don't know how impressive running a mile in 4 minutes and 16 seconds, right? I'm out here feeling like I'm a champ running 10-minute miles. Right? I'm out there, you know, thinking I'm coming down for gold. Jamal Duffy Hartman, Dej out here knocking 6 minutes. This guy sprinting a mile in 4 minutes.
Is the Duffy Hartman, is it hyphenated, or is that the Duffy is the middle, or
Duff is the middle? Duff is the middle. But no, honestly, props to Dej, man. Honestly, it's incredible. And I remember as a youngster going to Front Street Mile, and you know, Bermudians just were never top favorites in the elite race. So I am happy for him. To me, I love the Front Street Mile. My 2 favorite races are the mile and Bermuda Day Half Marathon. But something about the Front Street Mile is intimate. The crowd, it's just something special about it. And I'm happy for him and glad to see him. Congratulations to Dej, and let's go for some more.
Yeah, you can see all the winners of what happened that night on Bird News. Definitely, you could check it out there. They did go live at the event, but it is really incredible. Deja is the first comedian to actually win the elite men's title, and this is the second time that he was able to clutch it.
Oh,
In
and
other news,
did you see
unfortunate news: 4
Maya,
dog biting attacks.
Maya? Did you see a certain person on the truck?
I
Larry
was gonna
Marsh?
say
Did you see him on during the race? He was
our
Yes,
colleague.
yeah, our colleague Larry Marsh Jr.
I
doing
was
a little
watching live. I couldn't be there, but yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Go ahead. Sorry, Maya. Go ahead.
In other news, this is kind of sad news, but 4 dog biting attacks occurred on Friday, the 13th of February. 2 dogs attacked a 76-year-old woman, 1 bit a 10-year-old child, and the final dog seized attacked another dog that was walking with its owner. Both the senior lady and the 10-year-old were hospitalized and then discharged. The dog, however, with the owner was unfortunately sustained a serious leg injury. Dog owners are reminded a person found guilty in court of an offense under the Act in the first instance is liable of a maximum of 6 months imprisonment or $10,000 or both.
You said all these incidents took place on Friday the 13th.
Mhm.
Yes, they did.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I see people walking their dogs, in the morning when I'm out there jogging, and it's very dark out there. And this morning, I'll tell you no lie, I was running and I heard whoo, and I've got my headphones on so I can hear. I try to keep them low so I can hear things. And I actually jumped for the first time, and I looked back, and it was like, what's those big ones? They live like 5-6 years. The big dogs, man. It was one of those.
A mastiff, a bull,
It's the skinny horse-looking ones.
greyhound.
No, the other one. You know what I'm talking about. folks.
Marmaduke.
No, well,
Doberman?
no, the big ones.
Great Danes.
Great Dane. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a Great Dane.
Okay.
And I look, and the owner's like, "Good morning." I'm like, "Good morning." You better put a muzzle on that thing out here trying to scare me. But not all jokes aside, I think you have a responsibility when you have a pet. You have a serious responsibility, and that responsibility is to ensure that anyone that pet comes close to feels safe and is safe. So just want people to keep that in mind. Go ahead, Maya. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there have been so many dog attacks actually since the ban on pit bulls were lifted. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who aren't being responsible owners, which has led to all these multiple different attacks and bitings going on within the community. So that is very unfortunate. So definitely, if you're an owner, do what needs to be done. Okay, if you're keeping up with the Bermuda Fishermen's Association's ongoing efforts to speak with the government on the BOP initiative, here's a quick update for you. Last Friday, FAB did meet with the Premier on the Cabinet ground to present the petition. A joint press statement from the Premier and FAB was released, and the joint press statement basically said that the Premier was actually upset that it had to go this far with the communication lacked, but FAB is very much encouraged now they have this line of communication, and they're both going to work on something that leads them to a better agreement in this situation.
What I'm trying to think about, like, wasn't the Minnesota not gonna meet with them at first?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yes.
So what
On the
turned that
Wednesday
around?
before the Friday? Well,
Yeah.
the petition basically.
Okay.
Pardon?
Sorry.
I thought you said in your news that the minister weren't going to meet with him, and he changed his mind. Okay.
The minister didn't meet with him. The Premier did. The Premier met with him. So no, in their press statement, it did state that the minister did not respond to them. On Wednesday evening, though, they finally did get a response from the minister that basically told them to use the constructive consultation process that they have put out for the entire community. But the FAB said that that was not enough. That did not show enough transparency for them to give their point of course, and they wanted to meet person face to face, which did not happen until they had the petition and went to the grounds to speak to the Premier.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. Watching that one closely. What else you got for us?
Well, next up on the list today. So the Ministry of Transportation, Donovan Mallory, is the recipient of the December Government of Bermuda's Public Service Excellence Award. Mr. Mallory is being recognized for his consistently working to the highest standard while acting as the Assistant Operations Manager, in addition to his great post as Traffic Supervisor in the Department of Public Transportation. So that's an award that was given to him last week.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, congrats to Donovan. He was the best barber Bermuda's ever had back in the day down Ricketts Barbershop. Remember Donovan, man? He was bad, boy. But anyway, go ahead, man.
And save the date coming from the Bermuda Cancer Center. Relay for Life of Bermuda 2023 kicks off February 1st to the 3rd. And my final review and report for today is Jade K. Robinson is a senior health strategy advisor who shares that there will be a new health clinic, and this leads up perfectly with today's conversation, that will screen men 60 years and older for free, which means no, you do not need to have any insurance. It will be a 6-month initiative. The first location will be Saturday, February 4th at the BIU building in Hamilton, and I will update more on that as the day commences.
Folks, please do not go anywhere after this news break. This is one of those conversations you all need to be engaged with. I am happy that Dr. Jonathan Makanjuola is on this show today to have this conversation. This was a late guest, but to me, one of the most important conversations we'll have all year. So thank you for that, Maya. What else you got for us?
Oh, later now we just have the weather for you guys. There's going to be sunny periods developing after a rather cloudy start, but it's looking pretty sunny right now, but it might rain a little bit later. Okay, and we got a high of 69 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's still very chilly out there, so wear your gloves if you're on your bike.
All
And
right.
fasten your helmet.
And fasten that helmet. You bet your boots. Days of the year, Phil, what you got for us?
Today is Ditch New Year's Resolution Day.
Oh,
How you like that?
that's good.
So,
So-
in the inebriated, hopeful light of the dawn of New Year, we all believe that the next year is going to be different, that we won't go back to our old habits, and we won't let things continue as they are. Utter BS.
Yeah.
So here's what you could do for today. Don't keep yourself tied to them any longer. Make sure you got to make real strides and look at changes in your life as little things that you can do, and not be disappointed with what of not doing something that you had planned, right? So instead of trying to stick to your New Year's resolutions, the best way to celebrate Ditch New Year's Resolution Day is by reevaluating your life as a whole. Start finding real and meaningful reasons to change, not just because it's a new year and that magically inspires you with will and determination that you didn't have before. So take small steps, take meaningful steps, and don't be disappointed that 2 weeks into the new year, you haven't gone to the gym like I promised I would to myself.
That was an interesting day of the year.
Ditch New Year's Resolution Day.
I don't know anyone who still makes New Year's resolutions. So if that applies to you.
I know a lot of people still
Oh,
do.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't come across anybody. I haven't done a resolution. And Maya, you make resolutions?
Not really anymore, but I saw this really fun thing on TikTok. Don't get at me. But like these groups of friends don't make resolutions, but they come together and they plan out the year when they're actually going to meet up, chat, have this group, that group, whatever. So they actually stay in contact throughout the year. I was like, that's really smart to
I like that one.
plan it all together. So you guys know when you are going to have those days when you get together, friend days, family days, whatever. And I thought, that's cool. I like that.
Matching up
the calendars.
Meaningful steps. I like that. Maya, thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow or Thursday. We'll see you later.
You'll see me on Thursday.
All
See
right.
you Thursday.
Bye. All righty. Do not go anywhere. As we just stated, we've got Dr. Jonathan Makanjuola coming up. We're talking about the Daily Mail Clinic. You don't want to miss this. Please stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Philip Trout, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Also, if you don't know, look, you no longer need social media to tune into Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. You just need to go to our website, thedailyhour.com, and you can watch us live every time we stream. All right, folks, without further ado, we've got a very special guest today. As Maya just mentioned, it's a new health clinic. It's called the Daily Mail with Dr. Jonathan Makanjuola. And we're discussing, Phil, before we bring him in, as a Black male, we've been known to not go to the doctor, right? How important do you feel something like this is?
Man, it's funny. Like, we won't go to the doctor, but we'll make sure the car is in tip-top shape. Right. And we do that early and often. And it's like, you can get another car, you can't get another body.
Yeah.
So we definitely have to do better at taking care of ourselves. I do think we have gotten better personally. But I do think something that we still should encourage all the brothers, to take seriously.
Indeed. Well, let's bring Dr. Makanjuola into the show. Give him a warm TDH welcome.
Good morning, Doc.
Morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming. And hey, I can't say it enough. I love what I've read so far about what it is that's being done. But before we get into that, just tell our audience a bit about you and your background.
So my name is Dr. Jonathan Makanjuola. I'm a consultant urologist, and men's health expert, and newly arrived to the island full time. So my wife is Bermudian, and her name is Dr. Place, and she's an anesthesiologist. We met in the UK about just over 15 years ago in medical school, and got married about 12 years ago in Bermuda. And she was awarded actually the largest scholarship in the history of Bermuda. So Bermuda trained her in a sense and funded her to go to medical school. So she's now come back to her country to give back, and I've tagged along, so to speak. But actually, I've been working as a visiting specialist at North Shore Medical for the last 3 years. So I was popping in and out, trying to understand the climate of Bermuda and how things work before moving here full time, which we did in July of this year. And I've started at the hospital in September as a full-time urologist here. So that's a little bit about me.
Interesting. And I love the Bermuda connection. And here's something, I would have saved this for off air. I know your sister. Davina is her name?
Oh, wow. That's random. Yes. My sister's a bit of a Bermuda connection. So about 10 years ago, my sister got a job here in Bermuda working for as an analyst for financial crime. And so is that how you know her, through that when she worked here in Bermuda? Oh wow.
Yes. I think I still have a great relationship with Bermuda Police Service. But yes.
Yeah.
It's a small world. Folks, This is my first time talking to Dr. Makanjuola, and honestly, it's a small world. And it's a connection here, and I'm awesome story background. And I will say this here, I think I speak on behalf of many in our community. We're glad that you tagged along with your wife and came to Bermuda, because we definitely could use what your expertise is. Just explain to our audience, what is the Daily Mail and where did the idea come from?
So the Daily Mail is a free men's health screening clinic. The idea really came from every time I used to come back and forward, I diagnosed 5 or 6 men with prostate cancer. And the vast majority were Black. The vast majority were either had no insurance, and a lot were underinsured. So future and hip care, where yes, they have insurance, but the cost of the drugs, especially if the cancer had spread, was much more than their budget allowed with their insurance. So they're significantly underinsured. And it was just a frustration, really. And coming from the United Kingdom, where we have a national health service, and I'm not going to get into the politics of universal versus fee-paying services, but it was within me to try and do better and improve the situation, basically. So the Daily Mail Clinic came after a conversation with some colleagues, and I realized there was funding from the Bermuda Health Council and the Chronic Innovation Fund. So I kind of just put an application in, but this was before I'd spoken to government, Ministry of Health, and there's a bit of frustration about, I was banging the drum about men's health and kind of falling on deaf ears. So I decided to just do my own thing, which I always do, and just apply for the funding. But before that, I was actually prepared to just fund it myself, which we'd managed to get some money together. But thankfully, the funding came through, and I teamed up with a brilliant medical student, Bermudian, called Jade Robinson, who actually we met via Instagram because I was tweeting some things about men's health in Bermuda. We had a conversation, and apart from the fact she's actually family related to my wife, which happens in Bermuda, we actually found out that we had exactly the same idea. So I submitted my proposal to her. She submitted the same proposal, and we actually verbatim had the same idea about a pop-up men's health clinic utilizing barbershops, church networks. I've actually been working with Bermuda Cancer and Health for the last 3 years, and I'd come and do the annual men's screening program, which is fantastic. However, men's health happens 365 days a year, not just one day in November. So that was really the motivation to try and do more.
Wow. Incredible.
Man, this is I love the idea. First of all, I love the name, right?
Yeah. Only the Brits will understand the Daily Mail. The spin,
we get it. Don't worry, we get it. So just talking about your service, who do you think will benefit most from the service, first of all? And also, are there any restrictions on who can seek assistance?
We've really had to try and limit it because we don't want to get overwhelmed. And I've been to screenings, not necessarily in Bermuda, but I've done some work in Jamaica and the Caribbean where hundreds of guys turn up. They only get 5 minutes and then they leave feeling like they've been done a disservice. So we really wanted to have that kind of bespoke feeling for guys. So we've had to cap initially the clinics at about 25 to 30 men. However, we are giving opportunity for others to come and see me, but we can explain that later. And we've had to cap the age as well. So we're looking at 65 and above. And the reason for that is looking at Bermuda statistics. We have twice the OECD average of deaths from prostate cancer in Bermuda. So we're one of the richest countries in the world, but double the number of deaths from prostate cancer, which is a massive disparity. Also, from my own personal experience, I found that there's men that hadn't seen GPs or doctors for 30 years in Bermuda. And I remember my first week in Bermuda on the ward, there were 3 gentlemen that had metastatic prostate cancer. So this is prostate cancer that's already spread over the body. And unfortunately, there is no cure for this. We can give them medication and chemo to keep them comfortable, but we're not able to cure them. Prostate cancer screening is controversial. So there's a lot of debate in the UK and US about whether we screen all people. But my argument is we should be focused and targeted in screening. We know black men have a 1 in 4 risk compared to other races of contracting prostate cancer. We present late and have more aggressive disease. And there's a number of reasons that are genetic, social, economic. There's racial aspects as well. And there's been some studies coming out of America looking at that as well. So it's multifactorial. So we targeted men, all men. Black men have a higher risk, so we want to see them, but also men over 65. As the clinic expands and we're getting more volunteers, we may lower the age limit. But I always say to men, get your screening, get your PSA. I know a lot of men don't like the dreaded prostate exam, the finger exam. But I always say, look, if we can at least get the blood test done, then that may spur men to understand what their numbers are and go for the full investigation. So I'm working a bit backwards. I know men do not want to come and see me in the hospital. I've got guys that said, Doc, we're not coming to the hospital, and that's a cultural thing. So our idea of the pop-up clinics, we're bringing healthcare to the community, to the streets.
Man, I love like everything that you said because Jamal, we talked earlier about diversity and having people in certain positions, but if the thought isn't behind it, then it's not, what sense does it make? And I think some of these solutions that Dr. Makanjuola is presenting is all stuff that it's research based. It definitely affects our community. So I'm loving what I'm hearing so far. I gotta say,
Thank you. Yeah, on the research aspect, there's a paper from the New England Journal of Medicine, which is the biggest publication in the world, looking at blood pressure, and they know black men have really high rates of hypertension and cardiovascular disease, but then they've not been getting through to these communities. So what do? They actually set up a program in Brooklyn with blood pressure education amongst barbers and healthcare professionals in the barbershops. And they took 1,000 men, 500 went through the conventional standard treatment, COGP, try your medications. And they took 500 men and put them through the barbershop program in their places of work and where they commune. And they found statistically significant increase and adherence to treatment in the barbershop program. So it shows that community-based programs that are targeted do work and improving the wellness and outcome of our individuals.
That's fantastic, man. So you mentioned funding before. So let's talk about the funding. The service, thankfully is being offered for free. But how have you been able to secure funding in the past, and how do you plan on continue raising funds in the future to keep the clinic operational?
So in the past, historically, it's just been me. I've been funding it myself. I call it altruistic, but we've been trying to kind of do what I can and seeing people pro bono, even though some of the money men weren't very happy with me. But now going forward with the funding from the Bermuda Health Council and the Chronic Innovation Fund, we've got funding secured for 6 months. So we've got this program now where we can, every man that wants to come and get screened for cardiovascular or prostate cancer can with no cost. But we're really targeting uninsured guys and underinsured guys. If you have insurance, then please see your GP. You can be referred to me or one of the other 3 urologists on the island, and that's fine. But we don't want people to take up spaces from the really at-risk group, which are the guys that have no insurance and have no real access to get high-quality screening. We've got state-of-the-art technology. So I've taken hold of Bermuda's first rapid PSA analyzer. So PSA is the blood test by which we determine men's prostate health, and it's normally a blood draw. That it goes to the lab and can take between 12 to 24 hours to get the result. I have a PSA machine which gets the results in 10 minutes. So you know straight away, accurately, what's going on, and we can then risk stratify men to more diagnostics, or if they're fine, then we can give them general advice.
That's good, man. Hey, we are blessed. All I can say is we're blessed to have you here. Let's talk about these statistics a little bit. So I saw a graph on your Instagram page. Prostate cancer in men in Bermuda is more likely to be men in Bermuda are more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer more than any other cancer. So any ideas why this is and how we can fix that?
Yeah, so there's definitely a genetic component to it. As I've said it a few times now. Black men have a 1 in 4 risk compared to the general population, so higher risk of contracting prostate cancer. We know from our statistics in Bermuda locally that we have twice as high death rate compared to leading economies in the world, considering our financial status. And we know men are just presenting late. And if you're able to be screened early, identify prostate cancer early, we can cure you. If you leave it till things have spread or metastasized, then it's harder there's no cure in this world for that, number one. And number two, it's more costly. I'll give you some data. So to treat man with metastatic prostate cancer, we use drugs such as abiraterone or enzalutamide. In Bermuda right now, those drugs cost $5,000 to $8,000 a month. If you have future hip care and your drugs budget is $2,000 a year, then there is absolutely no way that you can, without extra funding, afford the cost to keep you alive. And those are the statistics in Bermuda right now.
Wow. See, that's sobering, man. Wow. Yeah, I'm just kind of wrapping my head around that. But all right, so you're having a pop-up event on February 4th. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so we've had a really overwhelming support from local healthcare professionals, specialists, just people that want to volunteer and get the word out. So we're having our first pop-up clinic on the Saturday, the 4th of February at the BIU back of town. And I really wanted to symbolically do the first clinic there because I think that's where we'll target the most at-risk men. But then there's love for the East and the West. I always get patients saying, "Oh, Dr. Mack, you focus on central zones. St. George's don't get any love. Somerset don't get any love." So we've decided to move the clinic around. So the first one is going to be, and it's always the first Saturday of each month. So we're starting with BIU. Then we move to St. George's Cricket Club. Then we move to Somerset Cricket Club. Then we move to Warwick Workman's. Then we finally, the last one is Bailey's Bay. And then finally, we come back into town with Hamilton Workman's Club. Wow. So we're just trying to dot around the country. If you miss out on the first screening one, please don't despair. We aim to screen over 100 men. So there will be opportunity to see us another place in the island. Or what we're also doing is after we've reached capacity, so we don't disappoint people, we'll take a register of people that want to be screened. And if they're slightly younger than the age limit, I'm happy to take the names and offer them some screening with me in my clinic in the hospital, or we can put them on the list for another location so they get priority. So no one is going to miss out.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
I like the fact that you're going to St. George's Cricket Club first. I'm assuming that's your team. That's your club match team.
I'll stay neutral on this one. Yeah.
There you go. But smart man.
All right. So, how can those interested learn more about Daily Mail and its services?
Yeah, so the website's under construction at the moment, but if you email us at the Daily Mail, so DAILY, Daily Mail, mail as in MALE, clinic, CLINIC, the Daily Mail Clinic at gmail.com, you can get more information about if you want to reach out for volunteering opportunities. I'm also trying to bring young people involved. So I see a lot of young people that say, oh, Dr. Mac, I want to get involved in nursing, or I want to be a doctor one day. Come and join us on our journey. Where there's volunteer positions for you in different committees. So we've got a social media committee. We've got a street team to help give out flyers. We've got we won't be able to do any clinical front-facing roles because they're for healthcare professionals, and we have to have confidentiality. But there are definitely roles for them, and come on the journey. And we have some great doctors here. There's offering mentorship as well, and just see how a grassroots initiative can come from the bottom up and make an impact. Basically, we're also working with the Ministry of Health as well. So we've got their team involved in terms of evaluating it and making sure it's fit for purpose. So when we go to funders and say, look, we've managed to screen X amount of men, we've managed to show a benefit to the society, and then it can actually get some money, hopefully. And actually, I had a conversation with our Premier, David Burt, 2 weeks ago. He's our local MP and actually came into our house, and we managed to secure him for 1 whole hour where I talked about healthcare, I talked about men's health, I talked about the clinic, and actually invited him to maybe get screened. I know he's a bit young, he's a bit too young for our program, but at least come and see what we're doing and speak to some people that have no insurance and understand their challenges, because we're at an impasse in our country now about universal health and where we go forward. And this is really a good opportunity to come and speak to the people and see what's going on the ground.
Wow. I want to say that this show exists for conversations like this. And I am grateful that you have chosen to utilize your skills and your knowledge and your education in this way, in this manner. You don't have to. And I think that's the thing that people need to understand. This is a doctor that's chosen to do something to help a community that he's from. And I'm not, I know you're going to say, oh, no, I'm from, no, but you're part of our community. You are part of our community. You are Bermudian, and I'm grateful for it. And, please know, I say this to you before you go. If we can ever be of assistance to spread the word, to be in attendance, to get more men out, to help drive this, please just reach out to any one of us. You have our contact details. The work you're doing is too important to our community not to keep pushing forth, even after this conversation. Phil, you have something to say?
Yeah, I do have one more question. So I mean, I understand you have funding, and I know that when something like this happens, every dollar counts. Is there any way for, say, me, not that I have extra dollars laying around, but how could I, if I find $10 in my pocket, I want to donate to Daily Mail Clinic? Like, is there a way for me to do that?
So we're just going through discussion about whether we register a charity. There's a lot of paperwork involved, but a short fire answer to that is yes. But what I'd like to do actually is set up a drugs fund for men that have no insurance. So what happens? I screen you. You haven't got prostate cancer, but we found that you've got hypertension and you need to start on some medication. How do we get these drugs to men? So one idea I had was speaking to some local pharmacies, is actually donating funds to that pharmacy, and we use that pharmacy at a designated place that any man that's part of our program can go to receive their medication, basically at cost. So that's one way that we can get around having not being a registered charity. Another one is I'm in discussion with Bermuda Cancer and Health. I'm meeting with them tomorrow to maybe partner with them so we can divert charity funds towards that ring fence for us, so we can use for activities. So there's a few options we can have at the moment, but one of the practical things that I had, the idea was having a pharmacy that's designated where men can go to get their prescriptions for blood pressure tablets or cholesterol tablets. So we can help with that. So watch this space. We're still thinking about how we do it effectively.
Nice.
Great. One question before you head out. Charles H. Jeffs II. He's asking, how can we encourage more men to see their doctor regularly?
Yeah. Well, I love the analogy you made about the car, because absolutely. So, we take our car to TCD, we get it tuned up, we get it checked, we get the oil checked, but our bodies are more precious and more, than cars. So we can do it with our cars and our house if we paint our roof every year, but to go and see a doctor for a blood test or just get examined, I think we need to change our mindsets to think prevention is far better than cure. Look, I understand there's been a deep distrust with the healthcare professionals during COVID, and we know there's massive health disparities, but there are good people on the ground trying to make a difference, and we do care, basically. And I think it's really important to get screening, get checked, know your status of things. I always say to men that have their PSA checked, they know what it's in their bank account to the penny, but they can't tell me what their last blood value is or what their cholesterol is. So you have to say, where are your priorities?
It's interesting. And before you go, I got my first PSA check last year, February. So I'm not, I know I'm not that old, but, when you have a parent you lost recently to cancer and certain things, you just take, more precautions. Going back for my cholesterol check, although I got my annual in May, going back for a cholesterol check 6 months, I think. It was supposed to be December, but anyway, going at the end of this month. So I only say that because if I can be a voice to encourage others to just take their health into their own hands, it's, don't go to the doctor when you're sick. Like you said earlier, it may be too late at that point. Just go get your regular checks. You never know. You may be feeling fine today, but you may not be fine. So Dr. Makanjuola, thank you so much for this. Please don't be a stranger.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to come back. Maybe come and visit us on the first clinic and give some coverage and see what we're doing. That'd be fantastic. I think Media Maya is on board as well. She's going to join us.
Absolutely, she is the woman.
Maybe put Larry in the car again.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
All right, folks. If you appreciated that conversation with Dr. Makanjuola, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. I haven't said this all year, but I'm going to say it to you, and I say it as direct and as ruthless as possible. Share the damn link. This conversation has to go beyond us.
Especially if you have people in your family that,
because of people like Dr. Makanjuola. I repeat, this show exists for conversations like that. We're going to take a quick break, come back and wrap it up. Stick with us.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security. There's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again to Dr. Jonathan Makanjuola and the Daily Mail for joining us for another informative community conversation. Folks, please, I encourage you. There's about 90 people tuned in across all of our mediums right now. What I would encourage you to do is share it, each person share it to another 90 persons. Like we legit need to get people, those, especially as Phil was saying just now, if we have family members or friends or, loved ones that are of age, encourage them. And even if they're not of age, if you know someone who they're very vocal, they haven't gotten their physical in the last few years, encourage them. We can play a role. We can play a part. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical All Cylinders, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Phil, are you ready?
No, let's go. All
right, no, let's go. Here we go. Let's get my music ready. Hold on. It's a remember when, folks. Someone may have attended this school, so they may know the answer. Howard Academy opened providing secondary education for Black children in what year?
No idea. Not a clue. Somebody help. I know it's some Howard alum in the audience. 18. Okay. Sherry says 1974.
No. Let me bring it up. Hold on 2 seconds. I know the answer. This is according to Black History in Bermuda timeline. Howard Academy opens providing secondary education for Black children in 1944. The late Edwin Skinner, a white teacher who was ostracized for educating Blacks, founded the Howard Academy in 1944.
There we go.
Yeah, 1944. We got, Sherry, no, not 1974, and Karen Simmons, not 1954. But let's wrap it up, Phil. I mean, you pulled your Sherry card this morning. That was a difficult one, though. That's a difficult history question. You got to get the year to it. I would have wanted to guess the 1800s as well, but no,
Yeah.
these are more recent than any. But let's talk about our discussion this morning, racial progress, and then our guest, Dr. Makanjuola.
I think we gotta that's a tough question to answer about the racial progress, because we ought to define what that looks like, what that racial progress is. I mean, economically, are we better? You know, we had, like you said, we had more entrepreneurs back then, I guess. It's a tough one. We still have a lot, you know, I think we still have a lot to do. I think in some areas we're better than we were, but in some areas we're probably not. So whatever the case, having faces that look like us in places that matter doesn't matter unless they're, like you said, and I like the point that you made, unless they're doing something to benefit the majority of our community.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we got to pay attention to. I can't say enough. We don't have enough time for me to say nice things about Dr. Makanjuola and what he's trying to do for our community. And I think it can't be understated. You know, this wouldn't have happened if his wife didn't come back to the island to work, right? So shout out to her. And I really appreciate what he's doing for our community. I can't say enough nice things about that.
Indeed. As far as racial progress, I agree. What is progress? What does it look like? What's our expectations? It does differ for us all, but I think that's the problem. We need one common goal, what racial progress looks like for our community. Have we made progress? That's debatable. Have things shifted, or have we made true progress? And that's what we need to really figure out. Are we comfortable being the token Black? Are we comfortable with more Black people, but not more Black people in decision-making positions? Are we comfortable going putting ourselves in a college debt rather than creating businesses along the way? We need to figure out what progress looks and feels like for us and our community, and then we'll figure out, where we are and how we get to where we need to be. As far as Dr. Makanjuola, I can't say enough as well. I'm grateful for the work that he's doing. This is a person who, in my opinion, is doing a service our community desperately needs. And I mean it when I say it. You know, I would love for us, to be a part of this conversation, this movement, because it's a movement, and really ensure our community is becoming healthier along the way. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful to Dr. Makanjuola and everyone who's supporting him. And people, if you know someone, please let's support the efforts that are being made here. Phil, you got some daily inspiration to send us on our way?
Yeah, I like this one. This is from Thomas Edison. Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and it looks like work.
Folks, you got to get your hands dirty.
Get your hands dirty.
Get your hands dirty. It's a lot of work. But hey, those rewards, boy, oh boy, oh boy, the rewards, Phil. Everybody wants the reward. What did Anthony B said? Nobody wants to
Plant the corn,
but everybody
wants to red their bond.
Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lenders, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, folks, we appreciate you. We love you and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. He's Philip Trott. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.